All right, folks, here we are at Facebook Live Motivational Monday. Special guest with me is Bonnie Negron. She is one of the wonderful coaches I have on my team. She's a certified resume coach and LinkedIn expert. And today we're talking about the digital age is here. Are you ready? Bonnie knows all about what the digital age means, not only to the work that you have and that you do, but how does this digital age affect how we show up for networking, interviewing, etc.? How does it cause life to be different? Now, if you're like me, I grew up when there was no digital age. Matter of fact, early part of my career, fax machines were the highest technology that we had. And I've watched the entire digital revolution come upon us. I remember my first cell phone, car phone, Bonnie.
Yeah.
I had to go to the car to make some phone calls, and it was like, oh, I got to go take a call in my car.
Yeah.
Now, of course, the smartphone and the iPhone revolutionized all of that. We're going to talk about the digital age, folks, today, because if you're over the age of 40, you grew up and you were conditioned and programmed in so many different ways that it's now necessary for you to think differently and for you to approach your work, and your world in a different way. And you might be saying, duh, Mo, it's been the digital age since the 1990s. But here's the thing. Have you adjusted? Have you changed the way you think? Bonnie, believe it or not, I spoke to a woman today, 42, not on LinkedIn.
Not good news.
I said, listen, and she's a well-educated woman. So there are still people who've not climbed on this train, and it has left the station. If you have a job that has any professional status at all, and you're not on LinkedIn, things are not working to your favor. If you have client contact or hiring people, and you're not on LinkedIn, people don't want to work for you because they don't know you. So we're going to talk, Bonnie and I, about the digital age and what it means to you. And I'd love your comments just to know that you're actually here. I'd love your comments. I'd love to see what your questions are. I don't think you can see the comments coming through on the Facebook feed, but I'll feed them out and I'll read them to you as we get them. Ladies, please ask your questions. But before we totally dive in, Bonnie, tell us a little bit about who you are. I think most people who are tuning in, although maybe I'll just say it, I'm Coach Mo Faul. I'm America's kick-ass career coach. I want you to bring your soul to work so you can land and have and enjoy your dream job. And we do that through inner work first and then the outer work. My outer work specialist is Bonnie. Bonnie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having me, Coach Mo.
Yeah.
All my love for you. I'm part of the team, Kick-Ass Coach Mo's team.
Yeah.
I provide all the resume and LinkedIn coaching for all the women who are going through our 12-week program. It's been an amazing journey. I'm the CEO of my own company as well, Bonnie Career Services, and that's where we provide other individuals with resume coaching and LinkedIn coaching. So it's a big part of what I do. Prior to starting my company and working with Coach Mo, I was in corporate America for over 20 years, working in different capacities and different industries. And so I take, always overseeing the areas of HR and talent development and training and coaching and mentoring staff. So I took what I loved and what I had a passion for and, started to do it full time and working with people all over the world.
Yeah, it's awesome. And we found each other through a client. One of my clients had found you to get some expertise that you have. She loved you, introduced us, and it's been a love affair ever since. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great. We're going on a year almost working together.
Yeah.
And the work that I'm doing in the program is it's more enlightening, and I'm just very passionate about what I do and being able to uplift careers for those who are struggling. Right.
Yeah.
I hear the stories all the time where they're sending resumes, 100 applications, they're not getting any responses, or, they're on LinkedIn, but they're not really, or they're not on LinkedIn.
Right.
And then they're wondering why they're not having these networking opportunities and why their friends and relatives are getting jobs and they aren't.
Yeah.
So being able to provide that knowledge and get individuals on the right track to meet this digital age that we are in, and rock and roll their careers, this is what I found my passion, what I'm here to do.
Right.
It's been great.
Rosalind says, Bonnie, that she heard on CBS that LinkedIn is hiring every 6 seconds. It doesn't surprise me. It was 3 or 4 years ago that Microsoft bought LinkedIn.
Yes.
And was able to exert all of their, not only artificial intelligence and data gathering acumen, but also marketing strategy, and really expanding what LinkedIn is all about and how it's going to be a business resource for the recruiting/hiring industry and for businesses in general, so that it's a career resource platform that has broader and deeper value. So Bonnie, it's no surprise that they're hiring people by the boatload, because they have a big mission to fill, don't they?
Absolutely. There's over 600 million people on LinkedIn today, and it's continuously growing. A lot of companies are utilizing LinkedIn as their one source of recruiting. They've gone away from hiring the recruiters. I mean, why should company pay thousands of dollars in these headhunting fees when they can go on LinkedIn and get a recruiter subscription and look for candidates and do it in-house at a fraction of the cost? Right. So that's why we see those statistics on LinkedIn, and it is the place to be if you want to grow your career and get to that next level.
Right. So if you're in the recruiting industry, just a little discussion about that, because most people who hear that the digital age is technically replacing their jobs, what I want you to think about, recruiters, hiring managers, whatever, is that your call to action is to provide a value above what artificial intelligence and a database can do. So if your job has been calling through data, you're not really providing value to either your customers or your company. So your call to action is to use the humanness of what you bring to the table, not the computingness of what you bring to the table. So step it up, because when you can use digital tools to do your job, you can actually be providing value at a higher level. Bonnie, what does contribution at a higher level equal?
Success, brilliance, money, all of that. Yeah.
So if we're doing work at a level that can be replaced by a computer, our call to action is to just up level ourselves. And when we up level ourselves, we're going to up level our compensation level. So if you're in any field where a computer is coming your way, and I know this might sound late, like, well, Mo, wasn't that what we were saying before Y2K? It was, but guess what? There's a lot of things that so many folks have not stepped up to. And today we're going to talk about 3 massively important traits that you need to up level on to stay with the program on the digital age. It's not just about LinkedIn, but that's a very big part of what Bonnie and I see to make sure that our clients are getting where they need to get. So we have a question. I've updated my profile, but still never get calls. So Donna, it's a great question. Certainly the topic or the question has about 17,000 questions that we would both want to ask. But I just want to offer this to you, because Bonnie and I can answer certain things with little tips. I'm gonna take the easy part of that question, and then I'm gonna leave the technical piece to Bonnie. Just a few little tips here, Bonnie. But if we're not getting calls, what that means that people aren't really tripping over our LinkedIn profile, which means you may not be having keywords in your profile as densely as what the jobs are that you would be interested in having. So you need to do something about this. Now, this woman is in our grad group, Bonnie. So we might be able to provide her with help by steering her toward our modules. And in module 2.8, Donna, check it out. There's training. But what else would you say to her if she's not one of our clients, but someone asked that question, not to give away the store? Because ladies, we're in the business of our tricks, of the secret, our trade secrets are worth money. Okay. So if you want to know the real answer, listen, you're going to have to invest in solving your career problems. Bonnie, what else would you say to someone, generally speaking, if they're not getting views or calls on your LinkedIn profile?
I mean, definitely an engaging profile. And that can mean so many things depending on the industry that you're in. I mean, I've seen so many clients who just copy and paste their resume. That's not how it is. Maybe when LinkedIn started, but that's not going to get you the responses that you need today.
Right.
It should complement your resume, but it needs to be set in a tone that's appropriate for social media, because that's what LinkedIn is. You're there to network, right? You have to really think about networking and LinkedIn as if you're going into a networking event. How are you going to portray yourself? That's how you should be doing it online. That's so important today.
It's a digital cocktail party, really, on one hand.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so in that retrospect, who goes to a networking event and just stands there?
There are some people who do that, Bonnie. We have to recognize that. But ladies, if that's you, stop it.
Right. So if you sit there, you're not going to get nothing out of a networking event.
Yes.
And if you just sit there on LinkedIn, same status quo. You're not going to get anything out of it.
Right. Exactly. So that leads us actually into one of the things that we wanted to talk about, because there's three main things that are going to help you get satisfaction in your social digital age. And number one, believe it or not, the digital age requires you to show up bigger and better. You can't hide behind text messaging and email. If you do, your career will reflect that. If you're hiding who you are with technology, you're hidden. So there's no one who's successful who's hiding. Doesn't happen. So you have to show up bigger, bolder, better, more engaged in the digital age. It is not a time to coast. And in doing that, you're also going to be moving faster with your engagement of people. And there are a lot of introverts out there, aren't there, Bonnie? I mean, there's professions that are strewn with introverts. And let's face it, folks, you might be introverted as a personality trait, but that doesn't mean that you don't show up. If you're an introvert, do you not go to meetings? If you're an introvert, do you not share your ideas and your opinions? Of course you do. If you don't, you're more than an introvert, you have big problems, okay? So introversion is not an excuse not to show up. It's just a personality trait. So you must be bolder, braver, and more engaged in the digital age. And if you're not, you are falling behind, and your career is reflecting that. Bonnie, add a little bit about showing up bigger on a digital/social media world that we live in now.
So, I mean, for one, it's part of the hiring process today.
Yes.
You're going to be, what is your online presence? They get your resume, they get your cover letter. Guess what? They may not just be looking at LinkedIn. They're going to be looking at your Facebook and Instagram. It may be down to you and one more candidate, and they're not sure who to go with because you're both rock stars.
Right.
Do their research, and guess where they're going to go? Directly online and see what type of online profile you have. So it's really important, you want to show up who you are, make sure that your branding is consistent across your different platforms that you're using, especially if you're in the job search process, because they're going to look for you.
Right.
And when you hear those stories of like those job seekers who are applying to hundreds of jobs and they're not getting any call, what else are you doing besides those applications, right? So that's the first thing that we talk about with our clients. You can't just apply and fill out a job application too. You have to show up.
Right.
You have to try to find out. You leverage LinkedIn, right? Who are the contacts? Go to networking events. So hiding behind the computer, not only through text messages or doing the job applications, it's also really important part of the job search process to show up.
Right.
You need to know who you are and what your name is.
Right. And the funny thing is, one of the things that we forget about in the digital age is using good old-fashioned phone calling.
Yes.
Folks, guess what? now that we're in the digital age, making a phone call is platinum gold. Everyone who's just letting the social media things take the place of human connection is doing it wrong. And when I coach folks, Bonnie, in the workshop, and you've probably heard this as well, yeah, but I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to intrude. They're busy. You know what? I got to tell you what, I've been a busy executive for a lot of years of my career. And if someone said, I don't want to bother you because you're busy, I wanted to just choke them. Don't tell me how busy I am. You have no clue. So get out of my space and live your own life. If you're not busy also, what's going on? We are all busy. So don't be using that as an excuse or a shield. Oh, I don't want to talk to them. They must be busy. Right. Who cares? Of course they're busy. There is not a human being on this planet worth their weight who doesn't love connecting with another human being. Yes. If you're going to reach out and be a jerk, don't do that. If you're going to reach out and take, don't do that. If you're going to reach out and make connection with a true human being, like an coworker, an ex-boss, someone that you used to know, freaking rock that world. Be awesome. That's all part of showing up in a bigger, bolder way. Bonnie, any comments on that? And Nadia,
yeah, and also,
by the way, Nadia says thank you very much. And she is getting, I know she's gotten not only traffic on her LinkedIn profile, but she's been rocking her world. Let's just say it that way. So, absolutely. Yep.
You're welcome, Nadia. Yes. And part of it too, I mean, look what we're doing now. We're on video conferencing, and what we do in the workshop, we're on video calls. And even I had a client today who was uncomfortable with the whole, Zoom platform and getting on camera. I'd rather meet in person, rather use this. I'm like, hey, listen, this is also part of the hiring process today. A lot of companies are doing the virtual conference as the first round of interviews. You have to be comfortable with that technology. You have to be ready to show up online and be comfortable with Zoom and Skype and whatever that company is going to invite you to be with. You have to be ready, because a lot of companies are doing that first, video conference before they even do the face-to-face today.
We had a client who was applying for a job who had 12 video questions to answer on her second round of interviews. So second round of interviews, they didn't bring people back in. They actually put them through a battery of video answers. Answer these questions, submit 12 individual videos. And she's like, Mo, I said, who's better prepared than you? We do training on video in my workshop specifically, and we do our calls specifically to bring everyone up to a comfort level of showing up on video. One of the folks watching here, Bonnie, Donna says, I spent most of my life apologizing for breathing. LOL, hard lesson learned. Okay, absolutely. And Coach Jean is here talking about scarcity mindset. Right. When you think people are too busy to hear from you, it's an absolute scarcity mindset. We want you to understand what you need to do in today's day and age to be successful. And it means showing up. It means being comfortable on video. It means being comfortable watching yourself and hearing yourself. You've got to get comfortable with that in the day and age workplace. It's going to be asked of you. And if you're not, you will get left behind. So if you're not comfortable getting left behind, and if you're not prepared to retire, step in and step up. One of the other traits that you have to have, and this goes hand in hand with what Bonnie and I were just talking about, you have to be a better communicator. The digital age has now required us to communicate in a variety of different ways. When I was growing my career, early 80s, Bonnie, handwritten communication, because I was a nurse, so that was important. Writing memos was important. Writing letters was important. Much more formal tone, much more specific structure. And then all of a sudden, these things called emails started happening. And don't know what to do with that. I mean, email etiquette has been around for like maybe 20 years plus now. So here's the thing. Text messaging, short, casual, it can be abrupt. Got to be careful. Yeah. Sending chat and messages through LinkedIn or Facebook to folks. Got to be careful with what that says. Communicating in the office, How do you choose whether to call someone, text someone, send an email, et cetera, go to their office in person? Not the office, stop by. No, don't do it. No, I don't mean don't do it. I mean, I'm pretending like people get scared about that.
Right.
Do it.
Yeah.
So here's a few things about powerful, better communicators. You're going to be more successful. Oh, did I fail to mention that? The digital age has now given you a category that will help you be more successful, because before it was kind of like everyone expected to be able to write letters and memos. Now you've got all these different categories of communicating, and you've got to do each and every one of them well. You have to get really good at multiple dimensions of communicating. And in our workshop, Bonnie, as you know, we even coach on nonverbal communication, because it is part of communication, folks. And nonverbal, guess what? Video.
Yeah.
What's that face? So you've got to get better at communication. Bonnie, what are the things that you see folks having to get better on in communication in this digital age?
I think, one, we still have to have those important conversations in person. And I think that a lot of people sometimes will cause conflict for themselves because they're trying to communicate important conversations through email. Important conversations need to be spoken in person and then follow up with an email, right? Or maybe, but still that face-to-face is important for very important conversations. Don't lose that. And also a lot of things that I see is where we are using acronyms or slang on emails, and you have to, you're still in a professional environment.
Right.
Be careful how you use thank you. I've seen some people just write TY. I mean, things like, to a senior executive. So you have to, there's a lot of acronyms now in the digital age, right? Because we're texting, so it's shorter text, and we then take what's appropriate for text messaging and we bring it to the email. So we have to be careful about that in the work environment. Absolutely.
And the other thing I want to talk about on this better communication is, no matter what type of communication, and we use a Slack app in our company to communicate somewhere between texting and email to kind of like tag people and get them to pay attention to things during the day, because we're moving fast and taking care of clients and taking care of issues. So that helps us. So it's a whole nother level of learning how to communicate on that. If your communication, I'm talking about professional, probably talking about this personally as well. If your communication, no matter what vehicle we're talking about, if it can't be published in the New York Times, what are you saying? So please make sure that you're not using any communication devices in the digital age to be a jerk. And there's stronger words than that, but I'm just going to say it that way. Don't be a jerk on communication. As a matter of fact, especially don't be a jerk on communication platforms that are owned by your employer. Guess what? They have the right to all of that communication. So if something's going down and you've done not good professional communication on a company-owned platform, you're just making a huge career limiting mistake. And you're putting yourself in a pot of boiling water that you don't need to be in. But I see this so often, Bonnie. Oh,
yeah, if it's something that can, I know, if it's something, I tell clients, if it's something that could be used against you in an open court of law, you shouldn't have wrote it. So you just gotta be super careful, because we do have so many tools of communications today. I mean, we have the Slack, the Microsoft Teams, the email, the text messaging. There's a ton, and and we're in that hustle and bustle and that grind. And sometimes we slip, but we have to be extra cautious today because we're in that digital age.
Absolutely. And don't use your company's email for your personal Xfinity account. And don't use your company's email for your dog sitter. I mean, don't do that. Just don't do it. It's just not good etiquette. It's not smart. It's intertwining your personal life with your work life. And as much as I'm ease and flow, moving and grooving, it's just not a good idea. Right. The other thing I want to talk about as far as being a better communicator, please remember that these are people behind your text message, behind your LinkedIn is a human being. Guess what? They have feelings. They care about their mother and father. They have kids. They have a pet they love. They like going home and enjoying their home. They like having dinner. Like, there's a real person. I have been known to send out some emails or communication in hours that are not humane. I've been known to do that. I must admit, if I'm thinking about something and I happen to be up, I want to rifle that out. But guess what, folks? It seems a little rude. So make sure, especially if you're the boss, that you're not setting that tone. Because better communication means also being humane about the hours in which you're communicating. So just be smarter about that. Jay, don't be a jerk on any platform. I know it sounds so powerful to say it, and it sounds so true. Bonnie, what else do you have about being humane or thinking about that, the fact that we're communicating with other humans?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people lose their jobs. I've seen, from senior managers to all levels of staff lose their jobs. I mean, I've seen it. I've worked with clients who got themselves into some legal issues. So you have to be careful with what you say, and don't. Oh well, I was joking. I mean, there is a time and a place to joke. So you have to just be careful. If you're gonna regret it. If you're a jerk, like Jay said.
Right. And I gotta say one more thing about this as well. So actually joking on texting or messaging or emailing or even really in meetings can be so misinterpreted that it's really not worth the punchline. It's just not. And I gotta be honest with you guys. Here's a little call to Jesus from Coach Mo. Let me get my microphone close to my mouth. If you have to include humor to be liked or to be that person, you've got a problem that you're not addressing. Because if that has to be something that you're putting in there to get someone's attention or something, there's something else going on. I'm going to leave it at that. Book a clarity call, and I can guarantee you I could get to the bottom of it pretty quickly. So please, your sense of humor is great. I have a fantastic sense of humor, and my team loves it. But let me tell you this. We're not joking at someone else's expense. And Jean, you're so funny. Joking doesn't erase it. Woohoo! Right. She must be a kick-ass director of coaching. She's saying it. Oh, Holly, I'm amazed at the crazy things people say publicly on social media platforms, especially LinkedIn. You have any final words on this, Bonnie, before we move into the next and final?
I mean, to talk what Holly's talking about too, what you post online. If you're commenting on LinkedIn posts, be careful. An employer could go to your LinkedIn profile and see where you've commented and posted. So it's you got to just be careful. Everything you put online, in texting, in email can be found.
Right. And on that note, folks, if your Facebook page does not match the level of your professional aptitude, you might want to just decide what you're going to be doing with your Facebook page. I have a Facebook page. I'm on Facebook. It's my platform. It's my life. It's my business. I'm not dousing people with pictures of nonsense. And I'm not saying things are really totally nonsense. They're fun stuff and families and stuff. And I put stuff on there. Fine, great, no judging. But I'm saying, if your employer sees that, are you cool? That's just the filter you have to ask yourself. Yeah. So kids' parties, stuff going on, awesome, beautiful. That's what it's there for. But just give yourself a little bit of filter about that. Okay. Bonnie, the final thing I want to talk about is nimbleness. This is a really fun word, and it's a really important trait to have. Our brains, because we're human beings, are built on mental constructs that we develop through experience and emotional attachments we have to things that have happened to us. So we have a mental construct that something means something and something means this and that, and we have all these mental constructs. At a certain age, mental constructs are how we navigate the world. And it gets a little, I don't know, bogged down, for lack of a better word. And the famous, most upsetting phrase that any boss can ever receive from an employee is, we've tried that before and it didn't work. Or, I've been around here 20 years. That's never going to work here. So I want to caution every single person on this planet that if you are stuck in a mental constraint about your work, your employer, who you are, what you know, what you think is possible, you're not living in the digital age. We are in a world now of possibility, of quick movement, of seeming miracles coming out of the blue and changing things that we do and that we've done for centuries. Social media has the momentum of change that human beings have never seen before. Ever. Never. You're living in a world that is unprecedented. So there's nothing that you know from experience that is really true in the digital age, because it's all being rewritten. So you have to be nimble of thought. You have to be nimble of spirit. You have to be open-hearted and open-minded, and you have to be ready to move and groove with things that you have never seen before. And if you're not on that train, you're on the train that's moving backwards to Yesterdayville. And if you're living in Yesterdayville, your pay is going to get moved down. Your job is going to get moved out. And you're going to wonder what happened. It was working great for 28 years. What happened? You didn't stay nimble. And I don't even want to use the word current, because really, there's no such thing as current anymore. It's all changing. I've been in the online business for 5 years. There's not a whole lot of people who've been in the online business world for 5 years. Why? Because when I entered it 5 years ago, it was completely different. And I've had to be nimble and move and groove and do stuff that I went, oh, really? That's interesting. Huh? Let's try that. You have to do the same thing no matter what type of job you have, no matter what type of environment, no matter what type of anything. If you're not nimble, you're losing out. And you might lose your job because of it, especially if you have an attitude of not nimbleness. Bonnie, you want to address this?
I mean, you have to keep up with your skill set. It's just so important today. The technology is constantly advancing. Phones are advancing, desktops, laptops, everything's advancing. The employers who want to be the Fortune 100s, they're advancing with the time. So they need employees who are advancing with them. And it's a great, going back to LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn acquired lynda.com a couple years back, and now that's their big LinkedIn learning. So take advantage of that tool on LinkedIn to, brush up your skills, learn new things on LinkedIn.
Right.
It's a great resource. So because of the online exposure that we have to courses, you can keep your skills set up with at a fraction of the cost, and sometimes for free. So you want to take advantage of that.
Free. A ton of it's free. Absolutely. And we're doing free learning right now.
Yeah.
Notes and rocking on and gaining for their digital age career shift and transformation.
Yeah. So there's a wealth of knowledge online, and to get online and know about the technology, how it's evolving is just so important to your personal development and for your career development.
Right. And the other thing is, when you're comfortable in that milieu of learning and you know how to navigate the internet and the computer and do searches and you got it. Just keep diving in. What's the number one not keeping up with the digital world that we're in mistake that you see, Bonnie, that people are making out there?
Not being online, not having that online presence, not wanting to be on LinkedIn because it's just they're too private.
Yeah, right.
Too private, and wanting to, still do the face-to-face, not wanting to get up with the technology. So I see a lot of that fear because perhaps they're not, comfortable with the technology, or they don't know how to represent themselves on LinkedIn, or even how to utilize it. LinkedIn, for those who are not really technology advanced, they could find a little bit, overwhelming. There's a lot to do on there. But that's why you have to brush up your skills, feel comfortable with it.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jean likes my word milieu. Technically speaking, Jean, that's actually a word that comes out of my nursing training. Because as nurses, we were trained to look at the holistic patient, social, environmental, family, physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual. So when I was trained as a nurse, holistic view of the patient, and then whatever environment they were in also affected who they were and how healthy or thriving they were. So milieu is a beautiful word, and I love saying it because it makes me sound French. Milieu. It's an elegant word to describe the entire dimensional experience of where we are as a human being, and it affects everything else about who we are. As we all know, in this transformational world, what we are thinking and feeling internally affects everything, and everything that's out here affects everything coming in here. So we have this gorgeous experience as human beings to actually craft and create where we want to live internally and externally, because it all comes toward us. So this is the other thing about the digital age, folks. We can control the environment. What? So you don't have to accept every LinkedIn invite. You don't have to open your profile for everyone to see. You have settings. You have choices. It's beautiful. So if you're saying, I don't want to be on LinkedIn because I don't want everyone to see my whatever. Okay, then choose that. But the more you shut down, the less success you're opening yourself to. I'm not saying you have to show the underwear size or what you had for dinner last night or which family member doesn't like you. That's for Facebook. But on LinkedIn, have a digital presence that is professionally astute, charming, engaging, high level, and that people want to talk to you. Holy cow, who is this person? I can't wait to talk to them. Here's Jay. We know her, Bonnie, from our workshop. I was so scared of putting myself out there at first, and now it is a source of connections, info, and voicing my opinion. It changed my life and my perspective. Thanks, Bonnie and Mo.
Yes, you're welcome.
Welcome, Jay. And we were able to witness the beautiful transformation of a beautiful, intelligent woman coming into the truth of what she had to offer. And isn't that a gorgeous combination, Bonnie, of technology and a human being coming together to become more?
Absolutely. And even, remember, LinkedIn is also not just if you're looking for a job. It helps to develop you in your current role. When I was working in corporate America, I've been on LinkedIn since it practically started. And I know a lot of people at work didn't want to be on LinkedIn because they said, well, then so-and-so boss is going to think that I'm looking for a job. I'm like, okay. Meanwhile, I was on LinkedIn and I was connecting with vendors. I was responsible for P&Ls. I was a decision maker. I was spending company money. I was bringing suppliers and vendors in and hiring them. So I wanted to do my research, and LinkedIn was my first place to go to, who are the representatives? What was this company doing? Follow the news stories. And so LinkedIn made me more successful because I was making better decisions for the company that I was working at by leveraging the information that was on LinkedIn. So, when I speak with clients, well, I'm not looking for a job, I shouldn't be on LinkedIn. No, well, you should always be on LinkedIn, whether you're looking for one, you're working, or you're not.
And if you work for an employer or a boss who thinks that if you're active on LinkedIn, it must be that you're looking for a job, they might need a little bit of education about what LinkedIn is all about, because almost every job that one could have, you're going to do better if you have a network. You're going to know more about your industry. You're going to know more about what's going on in the world of corporate professional development, etc. if you have a boss who doesn't want you to be a better professional, you need to find another job or a new boss, because that boss is not empowering you to move forward and to be more of who you need to be. So take your professional career in your own hands and leverage digital technology to help you move and groove and be the awesome person that you are out there, and use it as a beautiful tool.
Yes. And advocate. Yeah, like Mo mentioned, advocate for your company. If your company's not with it, I was in that similar position. They actually blocked LinkedIn because they said it was social media. And so I went to the senior leaders and I said, listen, you can't block it. This is what we're using it for. And this is why it's so important. We need to be able to access this during the workday. I'm not on there talking. I'm on there doing business. And by the time I left that company, they had the LinkedIn company page. I mean, you know, so I went and took that company where they were against LinkedIn, got their buy-in, and then they evolved with the digital age, and now they have a company page, and you know they embraced it. So you know, you could do that too for companies. If your company's not in it, step up to the plate and make that change.
Yeah. Before we close out, Bonnie, I want to do a few. And Paula, great point. Facebook is personal, has privacy settings. Yep, of course. And LinkedIn is for my career, and I have it open. That's because you are rocking it and want to be noticed as an influencer, thought leader, and an awesome professional. So that's really, really great. I want to talk about some don'ts, because from time to time we get these questions from our clients, and there are some don'ts in the digital age. And I don't care if you're a millennial, a Generation X, a Generation Y, a Generation W, whatever it might be, there are some don'ts. Don't number one, do not be the person in the meeting that's on your phone 24/7, sitting there and not paying attention. I don't care how important your job is, but if you don't give attention to the meeting, you're not successful. And it's showing great disrespect to everyone else in that meeting. So if you're a leader, please set a standard. If you're a non-leader, but you're going to be a leader because you're totally awesome and you want to be, please be respectful. You can always respond later or step out if there's something they have to deal with. So please don't be so distracted and so monkey-brained that you can't pay attention to real people in front of you who have a meeting for a reason. And if you don't know the reason of the meeting and you're bored, please ask, because there's a reason why you were invited to the meeting and why you're there. If the meeting is inept, it's not going to be solved by you being on your phone. So do not be the phone whore, I said it, in a meeting at work. Don't do it. And don't be the one who like fake has your laptop taking notes, but you're really like on social media or doing stuff or whatever. Don't be that person either. So if you're in a meeting, shut it down, be present. Bonnie, do you have a don't that you want to share that's kind of maybe a pet peeve? Like obviously that one was for me.
Yeah. Not only in meetings also, but at your desk or in your office, you know, be cautious of how much you're on your phone and how much you're using social media. You know, that's a big thing. HR policies have been rewritten just because of social media and the digital age, over and over, and they're constantly getting updated. You know, so be cautious what you're doing. They could go online, they could see if you're posting at certain times and what you're posting, and you could set yourself up, you know, for bad situations. So, and when you're in the workplace too, is really important not to use, you know, be present.
Right. And every company has its culture and expectations. Please make sure that you are exceedingly present, especially when it really counts. Make sure that you're the one who is being successful. Rosalind, nice to see you. Rajane, nice to see you. Michelle, great to see you. Angelica, great to see you. Paula, Jay, Joelle, nice to see you. Who am I missing? Twain, how are you? Jean, nice to see you. Holly, Tammy, hi there. How are you doing? And of course, Debbie Grant, rocking the house. Andrell, nice to see you. And other ladies who have joined this conversation. Donna, nice to see you. Ladies, I want to help deliver to you nuggets that are going to help you be successful in your life and your career every single Monday. If you have requests or items that you'd love me to address on your career or on just being kick-ass and bringing your soul to work or anywhere else, please let me know. You can always post comments here, and we'll be sure to scan them and collect all kinds of great ideas. We're going to be rocking our way through the rest of this year and totally owning our power and our soul and our ability to transform not only ourselves and stay current and ahead of the curve, but also the techniques that are necessary to be successful in your careers. It's important because I want to make sure that everyone who listens to this Motivational Monday understands one thing about your career. There is nothing in your entire lifetime that is going to pay you better than your career. Nothing. Don't tell yourself a story about passive income. It doesn't exist. There might be other avenues of income. Nothing's passive. And if it is passive, catch this out. You probably haven't put the value into it, and so therefore that money is actually not going to stay with you. Can you read the success stories of the lottery winners, please, so that you can understand what I'm talking about? Your career is the #1 payoff for you in your lifetime. Nothing will pay you more. And as a matter of fact, nothing will advance money multiples more than a well-done career. Several months ago, there was a young woman in my workshop, and here's the thing. She got a $35,000 increase job to job. It was a job that actually she was at risk of losing. This woman's 35, has 2 kids and a husband. She's the breadwinner. $35,000 times, I don't know, Bonnie, the rest of her career, which 30 years.
Yeah.
You want to do that math for our audience? Because I know what that math is.
Yeah.
You know what that number is?
Multi-million.
It is over $1 million.
Yeah.
She was on the verge of just accepting the same type of salary and the same type of job. That's what her choice was going to be until she became kick-ass. Now she basically has an opportunity to earn over $1 million more. And the beautiful thing is she's in the grad group, and I see that she's interviewing for another job above that level. So she is going to be paying herself another big increase over her career because she has all the tools and techniques. Ladies, when we're talking about a better job or feeling better in your current work or in your job, it's not just words. This is real money to you and your family. And the dollars add up. I mean, what? I'm pretty good at math, but most people can multiply by 10 more years in the workplace, 20 more years in the workplace, 30 more years in the workplace. Do the math. Nothing pays you better. Your house won't earn that same amount of money. Your stocks won't earn that same amount of money. Nothing else will. You have the opportunity to advance your monetary future by up-leveling you and your job. And guess what? Your job won't advance that much if you don't elevate yourself. So get a hold of your digital age self, be nimble, be a better communicator, and totally show up on social media for the good of you and what you want to be as a professional. Bonnie, thank you so much for joining this wonderful conversation.
You're welcome.
You can tell I'm getting so passionate about this.
I know. No, it's great.
In the digital world, I believe in communicating. I believe in connecting with individuals. And we got so much more to talk about over the months, weeks, etc. And we'll be back again. And I may have another special guest before too long, but this is Coach Mo Faul, Motivational Monday. Rock your career this week and do something in the digital world to take it up a notch. Give yourself a favor. Bonnie, again, thank you so much for joining me. Bonnie, certified resume coach, LinkedIn expert. She's on my team as well. I'm so proud and happy about that. She's rocking for Bring Your Soul to Work self. Everyone, see you next time on Motivational Monday. Don't forget to catch me live on Thursdays at Unity Radio as well, where I have another beautiful message for your career and your spiritual uplifting. See you next time.
Bye.